Good afternoon, Scott Redler, T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. If you were watching the last version, I just had to run out and use the facilities. It does happen. So this is part two, take two. I think a lot of people wish they had part two, take three on a lot of different trades and a lot of situations that happened this year. Because this, to me, happened to be the year of, shake up the consensus. When everyone started leaning one full way and thinks this has to happen, the computers were programmed to take it the other way. And anytime, everyone got on the flip side, it was the same type of situation. And then when finally things ignited, you had to just jump in, not think about it, and go with the igniting move. And there were a few of them this year. And there was really these select spots where you had these thresholds situations to make your money. And I just want to, let's go into the chart of the SPX. I'm just gonna give a little review, because this is my last recap of 2014 to see kind of what transpired this year. Okay, so basically, I kind of remember we started the year, if you remember, right here. Okay, this was the start of the year. Everyone was real bullish, right, that we were going to break out, and I remember this too. Here's your 8 and 21 day. Coming in, I would think I was pretty long. Okay, so right here, it looked as if the world was a great place. We were above the 8 and 21 day, hovering, okay, going sideways. And if you do remember, the first real 2 days of the year was where the action was. That was, I think, the last, I remember the half day it ignited. Then you had your first day of the year, and from there it was just kind of consolidating, and it was almost like mean what happened. All of a sudden, boom, that I think got me out of most of my longs, and I'm better to do it there at the 8 and 21 day versus getting caught in that or a little bit further. So that was like your first consensus thought. We were going to break above 1850 or whatever that was. Boom. Okay. Then, consolidated. You would think this looks sort of like a bear flag. This is probably when everyone was saying we're going to have our first real 10, 15, 20% correction. We're going to break this support right here. And what happened next? Well, you actually got that. Okay. So with that said, after breaking down here, okay, which was, I guess this was your bear flag continuation. I do remember that the 200 day, got to test the 200 day. This is the first time we see the 200 day. And then you had an inside day, and then held the 150 day, and then right away it retraced back up. So this was actually that like fake out overthrow brought you back. It should never have went back above this if it was going to be weak. Or in my mind, I'm not exactly sure what happened next, but if you could have sold a rally, right here is where the bears should have contained the move, or maybe a little bit into here. Okay, so what happened next is, boom, penetrated right back through this area, which should have said, oh, this is powerful, this isn't feeble, because that shouldn't happen if there was commitment to the sellers, and then, right back to the high. So this V move probably got everyone really bearish, and maybe short on the brain for that, and then from there you had a small, I guess, outside day into the prior congestion, and lo and behold, it held here, and then I think it went to new highs, but we shall see. Anyway, I guess I don't want to really go through this whole mishmash, but so that was a pretty. I remember that felt like it was a decade ago, but that wasn't very easy. Same thing kind of happened here. You remember this fake out? You had a fake out to the upside, took you to the bottom end of the range, then a fake out to the downside of the range, pop back up into the upside of the range, and then this time, you had a more sustainable move to the upside. So really, we were in this, area for quite some time. This was one huge range with, overthrow this way, overthrow that way, smack in the middle, and then it went. And from here, okay, I guess you can go the most recent. You had this 8 and 21 day again where it broke below. That could have got you out of the way. Small little descending channel here, broke to the upside. Then all of a sudden was hovering above highs, looking good above the 8 day. Nice little move there. And then you had this crazy move in October, which broke below the 200 day, stayed below for 4 sessions. You had this V bottom, and then again didn't look back all the way back up. So I don't know if you learned anything by that, but it just had a lot of moves where, you know, I guess if you were in tactical below the 8 and 21 day, you did much better, and if you were long above the 8 and 21 day, you didn't fight these moves. So the question is, we have one trading day left in the year, and what happened today? You had a small break of this like ascending channel here, where we're still above the 8 day, okay, which we've been extended from. We're still above the prior high of 2,079. So the question is, you know, do they pull it in another day into the end of the year? First day of the year, does new money come roaring back after getting some people out here? There's a lot of unknowns. But at this point, you know, you had a heck of a move, one down day. I guess there's no need to be a superstar right now unless you want to just throw all your money out there and say, you know what, the seasonals are strong, and, you know, last 5 days are strong like the same first 5 days. And for me, I'm going to try and take it light and be a little bit wait and see, because there was some momentum lost in some other names. So, you know, I'm not long Apple overnight. So those of you on the VTF saw that. You know, this just real quickly was your big gap up, boom, 8 day was breached. Here was your descending channel, which it's still well above. But I'm going to try and be cute and wait one more day. I didn't really give, you know, because I had my Apple glasses on, give this small little red dog reversal enough focus. Well, I did come in lighter than normal. Like, this was the day I came in, you know, you had your nice Friday move, which I was in tier 2, went out tier 1. You had your negative to positive move through the prior high, and then the way it closed, I went out light. And probably shouldn't have come all the way back to here if it was going to have a lot of momentum. But sometimes it's tricky into the last 2 days of the year, because some people who have been holding Apple all the way since this big gap up, remember the iPhone with the head call of 100 plus, well, that happened, and then this 101 with the target of 113, 115 also happened. So there's been some really nice swing trades besides active trades in Apple this year. But as of right now, look where it is. It's off the highs, it's off of here, and there's a few days left, so no one truly knows what's going to happen short term. You know, if you were to ask me in a month from now where we are, do we take out these highs here? I would think so, but you know, I guess I'm not that confident to make a call right here. I want to see the action of the first few days of the year, and then figure it out from there. So anyway, Apple still looks fine, but momentum, a bit of it was lost. Is it a trap so they could squeeze the shorts, which they like to do, and trap people and reduce or change sentiment? We shall see. Same thing happened with Facebook. Facebook, you know, it tends to change sentiment before making a move. Okay, like here, remember it looked pretty good, then all of a sudden had a little relative weakness, shaked out a lot of longs right there, then it turned, moved back to highs. So at this point, you know, to make it easy for longs, it probably should have held the prior high, and it didn't. You know, to make it even easier, you know, it should have held maybe even right here, but it didn't. So now it's below the 8 day, so some short-term guys probably got out, like me. And now just make sure that if we do turn around the 21 day, that if you see that turn, kind of like this, you get involved. So if you got, you know, if you stopped out here, or even if you just never even really bought it because it hasn't given you a signal yet, perhaps this 78.22-ish area could be a good spot for tomorrow. You know, maybe even get a red dog reversal back above 79.10. But for now, if you sold, you know, here, or you sold when it broke this, or even when it broke 79.71, maybe below 79, if we get that and it doesn't just gap and trap tomorrow, it could be an opportunity here. And then we'll have to figure out, again, what happens. Do people who have been holding Facebook for multiple points, multiple moves, big percentages, are they waiting to perhaps sell it next week? So this way they could then pay taxes in 2016. And if they do sell it, is there enough buying pressure from new funds that want to allocate funds to keep it up? So you have to measure that supply and demand. And as of right now, you know, a little weaker if you're just in it and you've been in it for, you know, you take a look at the chart again. If you've been in it for this entire trend, okay, and then congratulations. You don't really care that Facebook had this little mini pullback off of 82 to 79. You've been riding this thing, doing really well, and maybe, who knows, maybe you're even in it from this cup and handle from way back when. Then you're a good investor, and you've been holding it, and you're having the market make you a really nice return on your investment, because that's been a heck of a move with lots of moves in between here. You know, when it broke above this, and Now you have this whole upper area that held a trend line, and we'll see what happens. Every time you get a pullback off highs, people are like, oh, we're going to get something like that, or even this one was a little bit severe or harsh. So you don't know. So that's why if it breaks the 8-day and that's what you track and you've been in it since it reclaimed the 8-day, why not sell some so then you could figure it out and not be in harm's way. So I'm going to just start running through some other stocks to see what's going on here. Google, are you compelling? Came back off the overthrow bottom, which was when it broke this and reclaimed it quick. Broke the upper little flag, with this small tiny RDR here. It's still above the 8-day. It's, a lot of people are coming out with it as their 2015 play to play some catch up. You look at the weekly chart and, it still looks good, and it hasn't really performed in 2014. This 512 is pretty big. It's got an overall big channel. I think it's kind of a guess that it's going to all of a sudden be above that. I know when I put it as my 2012 play, that was when, it was going sideways for multiple years. This was like going boom, like for a long period of time and that was when it was just search. It didn't have handhelds. It didn't have all the other businesses to monetize. So it looked great. Okay, and then it wound up going. So the question is this enough time here? Let's see, go from here. Let's see this trend line. This trend line comes here. And let's see this more accelerated trend line. It's kind of below that one. So I don't know. I'm going to let the market tell me that. I'm not making any guesses on that. As far as, you go back to the daily chart, looking for trades to how to make money into year end. I did buy a little Netflix today. It doesn't look fantastic, or it doesn't look great. It doesn't look like compelling, but it's tight. It's now above the 8 and 21 day. It showed some relative strength today, so perhaps it clears this, and if some new money comes to work, maybe you get a trade up to 360, sort of calculated. LinkedIn, what'd you do today? Yeah, held the 8-day, very sloppy in here, probably wearing some people out. Yelp actually had a decent day today, but it's a broken name. There are some moves that you can make money when you have a reversal off the low and then you hold and you go sideways, and it tries to retrace back to the upside. That is like a trash for a treasures trade, or a treasure for trash trade, however you look at it. It's been broken. I haven't really been trading ever since it broke this upper area. This changed. Look how you look back on it. Outside day, never reclaimed it, okay, and then broke this 8 and 21 days. So you could have been out since here. And then ever since there, it's been below the 200-day, all the moving averages, and it's been in a void or maybe do a small tactical trade to see if it builds. Same thing for Twitter. Twitter's been in a void. I haven't been long Twitter. I've been just like kind of watching it with a blind eye, if that's a word. Here is your breakout failure. This is when that trend changed. Yeah, I think even pre-earnings. I remember that. It looked good, and then pow. Then it never got back above it. And then I don't take stock into earnings anyway, and boom, big gap down, never filled it, below all the moving averages, and now it's just, bleeding lower. So the question is, does this hold or not? I'm going into next year. Hold on, where are you? I will just, I guess, wait and see, I will say that, one of the stocks I do have on my list that hopefully you bought because it goes out tonight. It's your last day to save $50. And I think it's only $100. $100 for probably a 20-page report going over last year, going over chart patterns, going over a lot of my thought process, a lot of my rules. It's well worth it, besides the 12, 13 ideas that could be outlined on there. And I've said many times in the past 3 years that if I would have probably just put in both my accounts into my 8, 9 ideas from my yearly thesis, I might have even made more money than pushing the keys all year long, but then I wouldn't be here talking to you, hanging out with Brittany, being on the desk and interacting with the Twitter sphere, and my wife would miss me because I wouldn't be home every day. So with that said, I do put out those ideas, but I wait for the market to confirm them. So they become trades for me, as well as some guys out there, as soon as they read the report, they're like, okay, I'm going to go into a feeler of them all. And then when they trigger and Scott starts talking about them in the Redler All Access or whatnot, and the trade turns on, then I'll get into a tier 1 or a tier 2. Because all of these are kind of like good ideas. Some of them are acting technically better. Some you have to wait for an igniting move like Twitter right here. It's on the list, and I do think at some point it's going to wake up and be a good trade. Okay, but as of right now, it's giving you absolutely no signal. At some point, maybe you get a gap up, to trade against, or you have an igniting bar to start a new move, or you break a downtrend, which this has been in. But as of right now, there's nothing telling me that Twitter is going to be great next year, except for my thought that I think that they increase their MAUs, they find a way to monetize the streams. I like to use it. I think it's useful. If I had to give up one thing, Facebook or Twitter, if they had a gun and said, you have to give up your Facebook, give you Twitter, which one are you going to give up? I would give up my Facebook. I would just have to text my mom pictures a little bit more and be a little more interactive with the family. But Twitter, I think, is viable for your business, and it's a great way to connect with the world and communicate. And I do think that a lot of people do depend on it as well. But right now, the action's telling you people don't want it on the books. They're selling for tax losses. And at some point, if you're not involved, which we haven't been involved, there'll be a good entry. And I'll try and tweet it when I do enter it, and then we'll see if there's commitment to it, and we can go. So anyway, Twitter, we shall wait and see. And I just gave you a little tidbit from the report moving forward. The banks are pretty strong today. They went. I added a little bit to my Bank of America this morning. It closed well. If we do get a little bit of a move up tomorrow or the first day of the year, you would think that they would take Bank of America. Citigroup actually looks a little bit better than it even did yesterday. It held in there, held the 8-21 day. Maybe at some point it actually even clears this 55-ish area, and you can get another trade back to highs. Morgan Stanley's already kind of right back at highs. This looks like best in breed. JP Morgan also, right back at highs. So the banks are hanging in there. So if there is some push tomorrow or the first few days, you would think they would go after some of the banks. With that said, some people ask me, what about the TLTs? Almost like if this was a stock, what do? Here's your red dog reversal at day 1. Stay with it on day 2, maybe even add. Here's your day 3. Day 4, you trim some, and right back into resistance. And now you see what's next. Doesn't mean it's a short. Just means, 4 days up. Why not trim some? Doesn't mean it's over either. It just means why not? And now you want to see if the 8-day holds and see how it hangs out here. Okay. This was a really nice trade here. I remember everyone was talking about it, and then came all the way in. Some even made some money short right here. Okay, but then you had a reversal to switch gears. So now we're back here. I guess see what happens sideways. Some guys got caught in the RSX today. If that's you, it is what it is. You probably made money the prior day. So what this is when it broke this small area, came off the lows. So if you made good money, maybe you took home a third, gapped up, didn't really give you a way out. Still now, it's saying it's working on some kind of, bottoming process, whatever. It did trade a lot of volume today. Let's look at the volume. Basic studies, volume. Okay. Yeah, it traded some volume here. So it's trying to bang out an area here. Just remember, I know it's come off the lows, and it's come, and it had a sizable move, but look where this was. This was around 30. Before this even head and shoulders pattern triggered to the downside, okay, which we've mentioned numerous times, and I actually met the measured move because 28 to about 20, that's 8 points. 8 points below 20 gets you about 12, and that was the measured move there. So with that being said, if you're trying to be cute and thinks that it's going to make new lows, this was a huge acceleration down. It might even retrace higher, so just don't be stubborn here, especially if oil, which I think is interesting, just kind of when the world thought it had a breakdown yesterday, it didn't. It still looks like, what. I guess if it doesn't reclaim this 2050 anytime soon, you're going to see teens, and that means oil probably will be in the sub 50 area, which probably raises volatility as well. 54 was that threshold low. We broke below it, didn't really collapse. So I guess uncommitted shorts probably covered a little bit today, but it's still weaker, and there's still a lot of reasons for it to go low. I'm not going to get into all of them. I don't have the time, but at this point, I would just be a little careful just pressing shorts here in the oil names, or the oil, and then even like the XLE. It's at an interesting spot. You had your reversal here off the low, and now it's going sideways. A lot of people are saying it's going to roll back lower because oil has to break 50. Oil might break 50, and this might roll lower, but you got to see that happen first. It happened here too. After this mini bounce up before heading lower. Actually, I remember this. Look how long this lasted before it went lower. This was your October low. I remember trading this for 3 days. It was a nice bounce, and then just avoiding. But it definitely, you had to have staying power for it to break it down. And now this is going sideways, and maybe tax loss selling is done. Maybe some of the names capitulated. So at this point, just don't think it has to break back to the lows, because if oil gets back above 54, this didn't make new lows with oil. Oil made new lows. This didn't. So you just got to be a little bit more careful. But again, below all the moving averages, there's a ton of resistance. OAH is still going sideways. It bounced off the lows, but I don't think people are so ready to be more short here or be long. So don't be big. What did gold do today? Gold's been interesting. Let me remove the volume here so we could see it. I just think this has been horrendous to trade. You look at this move here, it looked as if it was back to the lows, and I know a lot of people were trading it for that, and why not? It broke this level below the moving averages, no reason for it to rally anymore. Everyone's like, now it's going to break 110, get to 1,000, and then it didn't even bounce here, so it gave you the rule where it didn't retrace more than half, so probably gave even more conviction to the shorts to be short gold, and then, another day even down there, and then you had your gap up, which gave you no way out, so you probably had to cover there to then fill the gap and then go above it and trade back. I don't know. This is just one big horrendous mess. So to me, I don't like to trade horrendous messes. Do you? I don't like to trade things that are random, erratic, and most of the move happens overnight based on events or non-events or just to mess up the counter trend trade. So to me, it's hard enough making money in things that actually have follow through to the upside or follow through to the downside. So until that changes for the gold or for gold, I'm going to avoid. While we're on that topic, some guys are trading, a bit of a counter trend move in a name like an FCX that's been annihilated from 40 all the way down here. So same way here, you had to move off your lows before making new lows. You had to move off the lows before making new lows. I'm not sure if this one sticks because of the time of year and maybe tax loss selling is done, and that's why it's tricky at the end of the year. At the end of the year, you don't know if these weaker names could squeeze further because the tax loss selling is done or it's off the books and blah, blah, blah. The same way on stronger stocks, you don't know if they're going to be taking their tax losses in the first, second of the year or not, and then there's enough demand to push it higher. So again, let things pan out. Go back to the chart here of FCX. You did get this low. It gave you a pivot to go above it, and now it's trying to hold again here. Can it work its way back up to this spot? Perhaps. It's below all the moving average. It's definitely been broken. The 21-day has been more of a sell than a buy. I guess see if that changes. I remember remember this X? My God, the world loved it here. And just to show you how things change, it's called an exhaustion gap. Here's this gap up held, okay, triggered a move above the 8-day. This gap up wound up not holding and got filled, showing you basically that, I guess momentum was leaving, and then you had this trend break right here at the 21-day, and it didn't have to bounce. Everyone's like, oh, it has to bounce here, it has to bounce here. It never has to do anything. So PS, at the 200-day, you had a small red dog reversal, gave you a quick move back up for a lower high. This is what you call another outside day, gapped up, closing the lows, filled the gap, and now it's just been working its way down. And maybe at some point into the new year, it breaks this, and you get another counter trend move. So I would maybe not be short it, but again, if you're trading it from the long side, just make sure that there's commitment to whatever the trade is. Here, you had your reversal, there was some commitment, and then boom, outside day, filled the gap, and then lost the 8 and 21-day, which it's been below ever since. So you want to be in it when it's above, like here, not below, like there. Just a little bit of a rule of thumb. Let's see, what else? What's Mobileye doing? Let's go through some new issues. Still nothing. Mobileye was definitely something that seemed as if it would be in play, had a really nice move after it cleared the IPO high. I remember when it trained trend right there, and now it's still not much going on. And I do think this is a good theme, software in cars and safety in cars. This isn't really worried about what oil is doing, but it's still not quite ready. It's below the 21-day. It's not like when this was above the 8-day, above the 8 and 21-day, broke below, and it's been below since. And at some point, maybe this changes and might need a super duper earnings report next year. So keep that in mind. G-Pro, what are you doing? Definitely tale of two different stocks. This is when you had your quick move up. This is when it cleared the IPO high. This is when it trended above the 8-day and stayed strong. Here was that one little push through failure. Here's when it lost the 8-day for the first time since this entire move. Switched gears, and since then it's been a choppy mess. We did get a nice little trade here, and then on Friday I was trying to short it, didn't stay short. Some of you guys did. See if it could hold in here. Not much, it's not that compelling now. Juno, look at that guy. Like you always should write down IPO highs. Sometimes it takes 3 days to put the IPO high in before it consolidates, sometimes 1 day. But look at what happened here when it cleared. Really nice move. Now see if it holds this 50. That other stock that went nuts today, NRDM, what was the symbols there? Whatever it was, you know what it was. It cleared 920 and then went to friggin' $19. So I'm not gonna, I could probably go on my phone and look at the symbols, but you know what that was, and especially in the VTF because guys were talking about it all day. That's why you don't also just blindly short things, because things could always go up further than you think. Same way things can go down further than you think. That's why the red dog reversal is also good, because it gives you a way to trade versus a level, even if it's on a 3, 5, or 15-minute chart. Some wanted to know LC, lending. It's just still building. I really don't believe in this type of company, but anyway, it's still building, a little bit of a higher low. What else? I don't know. I'm trying to just go over a few things. At this point, everyone's making predictions. Everyone thinks they know what's going to happen next year. No one truly knows. What you can do is you listen to a guy like Art Cashin, talks about the probabilities of the year before an election and how it's positive, and then you look at some trends in economic reports and numbers that have been trending higher. Some people think it's all crap and finagled, like the GDP or the jobs. You can't live your life with conspiracy theorist mentality, because then you're always going to be miserable and think everyone's pulling one over your head. So you can't go that way. What I would say is it's a lot more beneficial to be constructive. Constructive on the markets, constructive on your time frames. I've talked about if you're a macro investor like my parents, a baby boomer, and you put your first $500 in right the day before the 1987 crash, and you put in $100 a month in an S&P fund. Ever since, you've made a lot of money long term. If you were someone like, just say, fast forward to me, okay, in 1998, and you put your first money in, and you even went through NASDAQ 5000 and went through the bust and kept putting money in every single month in an S&P fund or even a tech fund or like the Qs. We're almost back to NASDAQ 5000. That means you had a whole decade or more to get a great average cost, and you're probably back to the historical 6, 7, 8% a year long term. My wife actually started working in 2004. She worked in a medical hospital. She's a neuropsychologist. So she started with her 401k in 2004, and she put in every single month. And yes, she did it 3 years before the financial crisis. Didn't say, oh, I'm going to stop contributing. She said, I'm going to stay the course. I'm only whatever she was then, 30s. And now she's got a great average cost. She's got a great 401k, and 403b, all that stuff. And even at highs here, people are like, oh, are you going to have your wife stop or pull her money out of the 401k? I'm like, no, because you might pull it out and be a little cute, but you may never put it back in. So what you want to do is, depending on your age and your risk, you do it every single month, and you go far out. You want to trade like us and create active cash flow and find huge winners in the market, whether it's an Apple or a Baidu or a Google or maybe a Baba, which doesn't really look great right now, but I might as well, as I'm talking about it, put it up. It's still, going sideways. It's, still in this descending longer term channel where it's just doesn't seem ready yet. I guess you could draw it like this. And the first Baba to butt call came to fruition at 120. And now this has the ingredients to get back to highs and get through it. But as of right now, it's still consolidating, and it's still not, there's no momentum. Today I actually lost money trying to buy it and whatever. Anyway, this trend looked like it was going to break here, and then it broke back below there, and now it just needs time. I do think that it clears this at some particular point next year versus falling back down to the 90 area. I think there's too many big money people behind it and too many vested, people with vested interest to say this piece of business is going to fail and come back in and just be a range-bound trade. If it does, it does. Okay, from level-wise, you have right here 103.80. If it were to trade at below 103.80, you then have this level, and then if that were to break, it's below every moving averages, and who knows, maybe it does go back and do a round trip. I'm hoping it does a better trade this year. You know, I don't know if it's going to take earnings or new money or whatever, but a trade back above 108 sets it back in motion perhaps for a move back to highs, and I do think I'd rather see that happen than that happen, but that's me. So back to, I guess, my constructive nature in the market is, you know, there are guys that feel very comfortable short and they'd rather be short, or there are some guys that, you know, don't care. They could trade long, trade short. It doesn't matter. Whatever the trend is, they're going with it. Whatever is trading down on heavy volume, they're short. Whatever is trading up on heavy volume, they're long. That's cool too. I know for me, I like to be a little bit more of, you know, a bullish bias, because you could always find stocks that go up. Same way, even, you know, as the market's been trending to highs, there's been stocks that are weak, the oil names, you know, or the coal names that you could just lace in and short. You know, but for me, my process is I'd like to, you know, when the market's above the 8 and 21 day, I want to be in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stocks. And if their patterns are tight and they expand, I like to add some tiers to them, create some cash flow, and ride a trend. And then if that trend changes and we go below the 8 and 21 day, I stop myself out of a lot of those names. So usually if we're below the 8 and 21 day, you'll see me on the VTF with no positions, or maybe 1 or 2. Then I start doing a little red dog reversal tactics, or even the H cell setup. And then if we continue down, maybe I'll get some short, some names if there's levels that break and it's conducive to my style. But then if you sell the 8 and 21 day, you could test the 100 day, the 150 day, the 200 day, instead of sitting there and holding your nose and going underwater and being scared of the volatility. So I'm babbling, just so you know. I do not have a teleprompter. Everything that I say just pretty much comes off the cuff. You know, what I do have though is a green screen. So it's been fun to like add pictures and some themes like New Year's Eve, and New Year's Eve is supposed to be fun. Hopefully you have great plans with your family and friends. You're going to go out, you know, and enjoy and toast to, you know, the past and look towards the future. And if you make New Year's resolutions, I do think they're good things, because you could change some things you know you need work on, so you could do better in the following year. You could actually think about what you did well and even do that better. And it's also just a way, you know, to appreciate what you have. You know, you never want to be wasted talent. You never want to be someone who you feel like you have potential to fill, but you also don't want to be someone jealous and try and be who you're not and look at someone else's success and wish poorly on them, because that never gets you anywhere either. And the grass, to be honest, is never greener. Everyone has their own things they're dealing with. So, you know, don't also try and feel better about yourself if you think someone's going through you know, a hard time. These are all just, you know, I guess, little tidbits that people call red dogisms. And I missed my my ferry, so I'm making this longer so you can tune out anytime you want. If I had a beverage here, you know, I'd probably drink it with you and we can keep going. Just to let you know my beverage of choice. No, kidding. Well, my wedding drink is this. No. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the community. I feel like Twitter, T3 Live, the VTF, everyone, you know, we've been going through this together, and we have our ups and we have our downs, and we try and be even keel, because when things are good, you don't want to get your highs too high. When things are bad, you don't want to get your lows too low. You know, we're all in here to help each other and try and, you know, collectively see what's going on there, and then, you know, you make it and create it and put it in your own process to, you know, use it and let it enhance your life. And trading it, you know, with you and your screen could definitely be very lonely. And by having a community, you know, you could laugh, you could cry, you can make fun of each other, you could, you know, sometimes get mad at each other, just like one big family. And I'm hoping the family continues to grow, which it has each and every year. Happy and healthy New Year. I'll be in Short Hills tomorrow. I will be on Twitter, but you will not see me in this environment until next year. Have a great day and have a good night.